tonight.
These schools were a mistake.
The Premier apologizes to Île-à-la-Crosse school survivors and announces millions in compensation. We find out what's with all the walnuts in one Regina neighborhood. And we meet a Lakota teen hoop dancer who's determined to inspire others.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, September 29th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. Just a day before the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the government of Saskatchewan has issued an apology for the role it played in a residential school that operated in the province's north. And the Premier is pledging millions in compensation for survivors. Alexander Kwan has our top story.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe expressed remorse as he spoke to residential school survivors in Île-à-la-Crosse.
Simply put, these schools were a mistake, and they shouldn't have existed.
Wearing a beaded Saskatchewan flag, Moe apologized.
Today, on behalf of the province of Saskatchewan, I apologize to you.
For more than a century, Métis and First Nations children attended the residential school in Île-à-la-Crosse, about 460 kilometers north of Saskatoon. Created in 1860, it predates the federal residential school system, and so was not part of the 2006 residential school settlement. The survivors say their experiences were no less horrific.
The very purpose of the school was part of a larger colonial agenda and cultural genocide.
The estimated 1,500 children that attended the school were forbidden from practicing their culture or speaking their language, some suffering physical and sexual abuse. Survivors filed a class action lawsuit against the provincial and federal governments, which led to this settlement of more than $40 million. Louis Gardner began attending the residential school when he was 5 years old. He sat with his grandchildren to hear the apology, saying it was for their benefit as much as his.
For me, they need to be the voices now to say, later on, now I understand what residential school really was, what it meant, and also what the agenda was. What I said is take the culture out of that child.
Ottawa announced its own $27 million settlement with survivors earlier this year. The provincial government says it believes its settlement will be certified by 2026. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Île-à-la-Crosse, Saskatchewan.
Saskatoon police have declared the city's oldest murder mystery closed. The case began in 2006 when a woman's body was discovered in a barrel that had been thrown down a well. Police now know her name was Alice Spence, a seamstress and clerk who came to Saskatchewan in 1913. The break in the case happened when police turned to family trees and tracking down people who might be relatives based on her DNA.
My grandmother, Idella, who was Alice's daughter, never spoke about her family. She was orphaned at the age of 17, and like so many who have experienced such loss, she chose not to dwell on the past. But for decades, we had no idea of the incredible story that surrounded her mother, Alice. Learning about Alice's life and the way she had been hidden away from history for so long is both surreal and emotional for our family. Knowing what we know now, I wish I could talk with my grandmother, even for an hour, to hear her side of the family, her side of the story. And while this has been an emotional journey, we are so grateful to the many individuals who have worked tirelessly over the years to give the woman in the well her name back.
We can't do it alone.
Investigators say they also think they know who killed Alice Spence, but the case is more than 100 years old and the suspect can't defend themselves in court, so police are now considering the case closed. Advocates are calling on the province to take action on keeping $10 a day childcare. The program was announced back in 2021 by the federal government. The 5-year deal was signed on by every province, including Saskatchewan. However, the province has not renewed it. Advocates warn that centres could close and community investments into childcare could be wasted.
We knew it would bring local jobs, boost development, keep our school open and well attended, allow parents to join or rejoin the workforce. The list goes on. There's so many benefits to childcare in our communities. And now to know that all of that hard work has gone unnoticed and could literally be lost if this government doesn't get a deal, it's heartbreaking to think about.
The province says it feels confident a deal can be reached before the deadline in March. Well, as fall arrives, that means many of Saskatchewan's critters are getting ready for winter. But some social media users in Regina neighborhoods say they are finding their food scattered about. Chris Edwards went out to learn more.
It's a nutty case that has some residents of Regina's Broders Annex neighborhood cracking up. Some say walnuts have been showing up everywhere, and it's not the first time it's happened.
I've just seen squirrels going up and down the power line Squirrel Highway with walnuts for years now. Found them in my backyard a bunch of times. They're all over the neighborhood. I mean, we have dogs, so it is. Like, you don't want them finding walnuts everywhere. Walnuts, peanuts, any kind of nuts you can think of, the squirrels are bringing them back there.
And Gus Way isn't the only person in the neighborhood taking note of the nuts. Several users in the local Regina subreddit said they've noticed more walnuts than usual this year, and that somebody is feeding them to squirrels. One user says they've been constantly removing walnuts from their dog's mouth this summer. Another says they've dug up countless walnuts while gardening in their yard. And another says they can find them everywhere, in their garden, bushes, even their garage. A canvass of the neighborhood suggests the epicenter of all this walnut worry may be near the intersection of College Avenue and Broder Street, but so far, no one has come forward to shell out the truth. In the meantime, the city of Regina says, even if it's a well-meaning gesture, no one should feed wild animals.
That just encourages them to come back and become dependent on people. So we want them to be independent animals and be concerned about humans and be able to live their best lives on their own.
Schroeder says the city will show up if squirrels become an issue in parks or on roads, but homeowners are on their own. She suggests calling a pest control company if you want to rid your yard of the rodents. Until then, Broders Annex residents will just have to get cracking and clean up what's left behind. Chris Edwards, CBC News, Regina.
UFA Cooperative has officially opened a new fuel card lock at Regina's Global Transportation Hub. The hub is an inland port authority for commercial trucks. The card lock includes high-speed pump lanes, wide parking areas, overnight amenities, and premium fuel options. UFA says this site is a first of its kind for the cooperative.
This is an expansion of our traditional offering. UFA is traditionally bulk fuel and delivery. This is the first, what I'll call commercially oriented, heavy traffic, high transport truck oriented offering in the UFA network. And we're incredibly excited about it. It's going to be a part of what's fueling Regina and what's growing Saskatchewan.
UFA has over 150 locations across Western Canada. Toon says by the end of the year, there will be 12 offerings in the province alone, with plans for another 5 next year. Well, Tuesday marks the annual Truth and Reconciliation Day across the country, and the day is being marked out at Wanuskewin Heritage Park near Saskatoon. We stopped by to get a look at the activities taking place and why it's an important location to spend the day.
We'll be making these pins. We are just going to be doing a flat stitch, so you'll get a needle, a thread, everything you'll need. And what we're going to be doing is beading the outside, and then you'll be able to go away with a pin that you can wear, and it's something that you've made. It's amazing to have this be a gathering site for thousands of years, and it continue to be a gathering site. So seeing all these people coming here to learn and to celebrate our Indigenous culture is really amazing. Whether you were born and lived your life here on the plains or whether you've moved here recently, everything is kind of intertwined, right? And come and learn. There's so much to learn and see too. So it's a lot of shared teachings as well between cultures. So getting to share and talk to each other is a cool thing too.
This year we've kind of changed some things, so you can't miss anything is what I'll say. Everything's running kind of all day, so you have an opportunity to stop in at each station, whatever interests you. And that's one of the things we wanted to make sure happen this year, so you're just not clusters of people moving around. You have the opportunity to come and go as you please to each station and how you see fit. It's also a good opportunity to just explore on your own behalf. There's a ton of self-guided opportunities you can come and pick up at the front desk. We have about 7 kilometers of trails to explore in this valley, and the inside is, there's a lot to see and learn about as well.
Here we go, 2-pointer to tie the score and force overtime.
Well, it was a game that quite literally came down to the very last second, but in the end, the Saskatchewan Roughriders could not complete their fourth quarter comeback against the Edmonton Elks on Saturday. A 2-point conversion would have tied the game after the two teams each scored 16 points in the game's final quarter. Instead, the Riders lose this one, 27-25, their second straight loss now. They go 10-4 on the season, still good enough for first place in the league. They'll face the Red Blacks in Ottawa on Friday. Stay with us, we'll have more news and a look at the forecast when we come back. A Lakota teen in Saskatoon is the first in 4 generations to powwow dance. She says she is taking back what was stolen from her family, and she couldn't have done it without the support of her grandmother. Kendall Latimer has that story.
When Davika Ironbow dances, she feels like she's reclaiming a stolen tradition. Her grandmother, Debbie, says Davika is the first of 4 generations in her family to powwow dance.
I think the first time I saw her dance was possibly the most powerful moment of seeing the restoration in our own bloodline, and that it felt like my mother was right there with her.
Debbie's mother, Davika's great-grandmother, Annie Ironbow, was forced to attend the Delmas Residential School.
She never recovered from that. She never was able to show us. She didn't want us to speak the language.
I have the medicine wheel on my...
Now, Davika is reviving those lost traditions.
It shows that spirits of...
She was inspired to learn after experiencing her first powwow.
I was so mesmerized by it, how the powwows, they were filled with such laughter and celebration, and they felt like home. And I had asked my grandma, and I was like, can I please dance? And she made it happen.
Debbie went to thrift stores and pawn shops to help pull together an outfit for Davika. And 2 weeks later, she danced her first powwow.
It felt so powerful when I was dancing. It felt like I was taking back what was stolen from my family and many other Indigenous families.
With this hoop dance, she holds a baby cradle in one hand, the world in the other, and the moon and sun with her mouth.
To show how much women can, they can create life and nurture, they can carry the world, all while managing the world. And that dance is specifically to show how strong my great-grandmother was and my grandma was, to be able to overcome so much and still be able to create opportunities.
Debbie says Davika's reclamation of their culture is powerful, but it's not without pain, as they remember what their relatives and her mom went through.
I prayed on the land where she went to residential school. I was out there, this is decades ago, a couple decades ago. When I went out on the land to pray, I could hear the children crying all around me. So it's important for us to tell those stories. When Davika dances, she brings them home.
Davika says she's determined to keep learning, sharing, and dancing. Kendall Latimer, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And 2 other women from Saskatchewan say they also turned to powwow dancing this year as a way to reclaim their cultures. One danced for the first time in nearly 50 years earlier this month. The other says she brought her grandchildren on her healing journey.
My first motivation to dance was a memory that I had of the day that my dad died, or the day rather that we buried him. I closed my eyes for that moment. Creator allowed me to see my dad dancing into heaven. And he was dancing so hard that I knew in my heart one day I was going to dance too. I'm very proud of myself. It was hard. I'm getting old. I feel broken, but I was proud. I do feel welcome there, and I do feel like I am home.
it's hard to be watched. I'll just put it that way. You know, it's hard it's hard to be a performer. But when you actually get in there, oh, I can dance. I grew up without my culture. I grew up with some, but not a lot. It took me a little bit of time to really get the motivation within myself to say it's okay. It's okay to put it on. It's okay to look like an Indian. It's okay to look beautiful. No matter what age you are, that it's okay to start. I want everybody to dance. I don't feel lost anymore.
Well, we are starting the work week where we ended off the week before with some very, very hot conditions across the province, and some warmer weather is once again on the way. Riley Lachuk is here now with a look at that in the forecast. Hi, Riley.
Well, thanks, Ethan. On another lovely start to the week. Feeling a lot more summer-like for some of us still as we head into the last final days of September here. Looking at some of your afternoon temperatures, looking at 28 in Swift Current, Maple Creek, Kindersley both sitting at 28 degrees through the afternoon as well. Saskatoon, Regina both at 24. These temperatures still a good 8-9 degrees above seasonal for this time of the year. And yes, another windy one out there as well. Peak wind gusts, again, these are numbers, as I always do when I show you this board, numbers from Environment Canada's readings at the top of the clock, so it's not measuring gusts in between the hours. So this just gives you a sense of where we saw some windy conditions throughout the afternoon hours. Maple Creek seeing a gust of 61, as did Buffalo Narrows, a lot of 40s to 50s on the map through the afternoon hours. Yorkton seeing gusts upwards of 50 as well. So as expected, a bit of a gusty one out there. Again, we'll keep the wind as we get through the next couple of days here. High pressure close to the surface really keeping us nice and sunny. Bit of instability into the southwestern corner of the province. A few stray showers around Maple Creek, for example, and a bit more cloud cover. You can kind of see where this ridge in the jet stream arcs further northward here. And that's what's allowing some of those warmer temperatures into south and central parts of the province. As we get into Tuesday, another day where I like to say rinse and repeat, we're looking at another mainly sunny day. Temperatures again could be pushing 30 degrees as we get into the day on Tuesday, but watching a bit of a system that will push through as we get toward the middle of the week, this low that's developing over the Rockies. As this pushes into the province, as we get overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, we could get some showers, maybe the odd rumble of thunder, garden variety thunderstorms as we get into early Wednesday morning out of some of this, particularly the further north you are in the province. For the south, this really turns into a mix of sun and clouds. I mean, maybe a few scattered showers as we get Wednesday into Thursday, but really that's about it for any real instability as we get through the next couple of days here. Winds, I know another windy one through the day. We're looking at that continuing as we get into Tuesday. Winds gusting up to 40. Maybe we'll see some gusts even up to 50 in some cases as we get through the afternoon hours. A bit of a break into the early part of Wednesday. Then we'll start to see things picking up as that next system passes as we get Wednesday into Thursday across the province. So looking at gusts, this is Wednesday afternoon here, up to 40 for Swift Current, for example. So just know the next couple of days may be breezy at times as we get through the next couple of days, but then we'll start to see that easing as we get toward the weekend. All right. Overnight temperatures, again, well above seasonal for this time of the year. 12 in Regina, 11 in Saskatoon, 6 in Hudson Bay. A lot of double digits on the board through the overnight hours. And yes, looking at the potential for a 30 in Regina tomorrow afternoon, as well as in Estevan. And temperatures, Ethan, staying in the high 20s. It does not stick around, though. I'll have more on that coming up.
Okay, thank you, Riley. Well, it was a slow start for that other green and white team at Mosaic Stadium on Saturday afternoon. The University of Regina Rams didn't get on the board until late in the second quarter, but once they got going, the University of Manitoba Bisons didn't have an answer for the running game of Marshall Erickson. Erickson notched 3 touchdowns in the 30-8 win. Over in Calgary, it was a dominant day for the Dogs. The University of Saskatchewan Huskies steamrolled the University of Calgary Dinos in a 45-22 win. The Huskies host the University of Alberta Golden Bears on Saturday night at Griffiths Stadium. The Rams host the Calgary Dinos on Saturday afternoon at Mosaic Stadium. And with these wins, both teams are now 4-1 on the season. Stay with us. We are back after the break. SaskTel Centre in Saskatoon was filled with color, music, and dancing Monday, just ahead of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. A powwow brought together families, elders, and youth, celebrating resilience and culture.
Dance. Excited and more excited. Dance and have some fun. I'm nervous.
I literally just whipped up this jingle dress for her. She wanted to honor her late grandmother who had passed away maybe last year. And she comes from a very cultural background on her dad's side. And then I'm just being reintroduced to my culture, and I'm so excited to be able to have done this. This is like a healing dance for her. So I said, when you go out there, you think of your grandma, you think of the people that can't dance. It's actually a journey of self-discovery, healing, figuring out who we are, and exercising her confidence. She wanted a pink dress, and I kind of like had to add some design aesthetics and silver. It just makes everything pop, and it's her first time dancing. I'm very proud of her to even want to take that step.
All right, so we are looking at another very warm day as we head into the day on Tuesday. 30 degrees for Regina. Wouldn't be surprised if we snuck a 31 out of that as we got through the afternoon hours. Bit of a dip as we get Wednesday into Thursday, but still normal high for this time of the year. 15 degrees, staying well above seasonal as we get through the next several days here. And then, yes, you'll notice a big change as we get toward the beginning of next week. And yes, that is a -1 overnight low as we head Sunday into Monday. We'll see if that sticks, but gives you a bit of a reality check here as we head toward next weekend. Again, windy in Saskatoon as well, 27. Maybe we sneak a 28 out of that. So high 20s really as we head into Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, we start to see a bit of a slide here, and overnight temperatures returning to slightly more seasonal values for this time of the year. 13 by Sunday, 14 into Monday. And again, Ethan, don't want to scare you, but looking at temperatures close to or just below the freezing mark as we head into next week.
Yeah, I guess it had to happen eventually. Thank you, Riley. And that is our news for this Monday. We will have a special Truth and Reconciliation program for you on Tuesday before returning to our normal broadcast on Wednesday. Until then, for news anytime, you can always head to our website or our YouTube channel. And of course, you can always download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thank you so much for watching.